is there anything that's just not really leaping out to me? Let's take a look at this one. This is just a real recent one from Zach Smith. He said, why do you think so many writers are now shying away from so-called white knight protagonists and moving towards anti-heroes? Is there something fundamentally boring about the knight in shining armor, or are we just bashing on the archetype to be cool and modern? And that may not sound like a geek question, but on some level, it kind of goes to this whole sci-fi thing. And I'm going to have to disagree with you, Zach. I think your comment is a couple years out of date. Thank God. I think what we're starting to see now is we're starting to see the return of the actual hero. I just saw Captain America, Winter Soldier. I didn't want to go see it because Winter Soldier is the name of John Kerry's book, and when I saw the trailer and the art for it, Captain America is moving in the direction that all the art design from comic books is. His outfit is just gray instead of red, white, and blue, and what used to be a clearly American motif is just a star with a couple of like pseudo wings coming off of it. And I thought, oh great, they're kind of taking the America out of Captain America, and here we go again. It's like, Superman Returns. It's like he believes in truth, justice, all that stuff. So when I went to see it, I was utterly shocked. And Captain America is an indictment of the government, of the surveillance state. It's an indictment of the National Security Agency. It's an indictment of militarization, of turning the military against our own people. It wasn't a corporation who was a bad guy. It was the government. It was all of those things. And you see all this surveillance and weaponry and stuff, and Captain America looks at this and they're saying, well, we're doing this to preserve freedom. And he says, no, that's not freedom, that's fear. That's a remarkable point. But because I do pay so much close attention to things like graphics and costume and design, the subtle questions, all those things, I thought, okay, this is the new Captain America. He's Captain America without the red, white, and blue. But to my utter astonishment and genuine, just almost squeal of delight, I won't ruin the plot for you, but there comes a point where he's got to get a uniform. He doesn't have his uniform with him. He breaks into a museum, and he gets out his original uniform from the 1940s, and it's as red, white, and blue as it can be. I mean, it's just brilliant red, white, and blue. It's not suppressed red, white, and blue like the latest Man of Steel, where it's a navy blue that's so dark it's damn near black, and a red that's so dark it's nearly, practically brown. He comes out in red, white, and blue, and it just pops. So I think what we're starting to see now, Zach, is, and we're seeing more and more of it, and I think this is a great, great sign. I think we're starting to see even Hollywood, even liberals, they reflect the zeitgeist, right? I mean, they have to. And what we're starting to see more and more and more is are movies that are making the government look like the bad guys rather than corporations. That's really important. I saw a movie. I had no intention to really go, except that a couple people recommended it to me for some similarities with Common Sense Resistance, and that was oh my gosh, flew right out of my head. Divergent. Divergent is kind of a teeny movie. It's kind of like Hunger Games. I haven't seen Hunger Games. I got to catch up on them. People tell me I should see them. But Divergent is basically, it's kind of a teenage sort of a rebellion against the state kind of thing. But Divergent is an incredibly conservative film. Divergent is the story of a world where everybody gets divided up into 5 classes, and you can kind of be born into a class. But there comes a point when you have to pick, and you don't have to pick the class you're born into, but once you are in the new class, you have to stay there. And it's a story of this girl who does this test, and instead of being placed in one of these 5 categories, which is like the warrior class, the intellectuals, the lawyers, the social workers, and the farmers. She tests out as having qualities of several of these things. The short form is in Divergent, the state is run by the nice people, the kind people, the social workers, the empaths, and the smart faction, the intellectuals, want to use the warriors to kill the kind people and take over. And what you end up with is you end up with a group of individuals with guns fighting the state, and especially fighting the intellectuals. That's really profoundly conservative message, and it's for teenagers. And I really liked it, actually. I thought it was really quite a good movie. I really was very surprised at how much I liked it. And I think also the CG was really interesting to me because it takes place in Chicago in the future, and it in the same way that the Common Sense Resistance is set in a future where things are running down, so is Divergent. It's set in Chicago where they build a wall around it, and most of the buildings are deserted. There's no lights on at nighttime. But their future is a little nicer than mine. Theirs is a kind of a nice sunny day, and mine's a little darker than that. So anyway, I think what you're really getting at, Zach, is I think that the days of the anti-hero are actually starting to pass. I think people have had enough of it. I think when people come up and stand up and just sort of stand for something, I guess maybe it's just been so long since it's been done, but it's actually starting to get to be appealing. People starting to want to see it. Not an hour ago, well, 2 hours ago, I guess, I was at this event, and I was talking to a guy who's gotten to be a good friend of mine named Kevin Sorbo, who you may remember from Hercules and so on. Kevin was in this movie called God Is Not Dead, movie about religious freedom on campus, feature film, not a documentary. And, this movie was made for like $2 or $3 million, and it's made $50 million. They haven't even cracked it open yet on DVD and stuff. The reason I say that is because that's a straight ahead. By the way, can I just stop here? People in the comment section are asking me to block a troll who's apparently making comments in the comment section. If I stop to block the troll, I have to stop the show, so I can't block the troll. So unfortunately, we're going to have to live with the troll, because it's going to take me 5 minutes to figure out how to do that. So that's that. Anyway. I think we're at the point now where we actually start to have this backlash against the anti-hero, and that's nothing but good. Nothing but good. I think those kind of things are really starting to switch. You're starting to see more and more films where it's this dystopian government. And again, people have to write within their culture, within the zeitgeist. And that the zeitgeist now is that the government is out of control. They're spying on their own people, and they're just nuts. It's out of control. It's just bad. So I just have a really good feeling about the way these things are going. I actually do. I really do think that that things are changing, and that people are tired of this cynicism. Cynicism is ultimately just cowardice. It's just plain raw cowardice. It's simply an unwillingness to stand for something because you maybe be found wrong, or maybe somebody make fun of you, or maybe you just don't have the courage or whatever. It's just cowardice, and I think after a while, cowardice gets boring. I really think it's just boring, and I think certainly the three films that I'm going to get started on, the Common Sense Resistance, the Big Bad Problems in Aurora, are all about something, and they take a stand, and they have principles, and they have actual heroes. People want heroes. You know, the anti-hero only came about because Hollywood had gotten so saccharine. Just quick little diversions here, but if you look at the history of the anti-hero in the pop culture, the anti-hero really started to appear really in the 60s, even mid to late 60s. So the kind of the typical classical counterculture anti-hero movie would be Easy Rider. And Easy Rider was a very dark view in this beginning of the kind of the anti-hero thing. However, Easy Rider was a product of films like Paint Your Wagon and Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, and Darby McGill and the Little People, and the films were so saccharine, and Oklahoma, and you had to have something new and different, and people always go to something different. So the thing about the anti-hero was it was a pushback against what you're seeing all the time. Now all you're seeing is cynicism. Now the thing that's interesting and different and weird and kind of cool is the hero. It's kind of a nice change of pace. So there you go with that.